We missed new Rockstar's 2x4 breakdown, but today we're gonna make sure we continue with their 2x5 breakdown because Ahsoka Tano was in it. Whole bunch of information revealed. If you missed our reaction, make sure to check that out. But before we get into that, I did want to say, Mando occasionally has to pay for things. So you imagine he has to keep some currency in his wallet from time to time, right? With everything he's carrying, it could already be so heavy. You know how wallets can be. And that's why today's video is sponsored by the Ridge Wallet. I really love the hell out of these things, despite my stupid joke about Din Djarin using a damn wallet.
If only they came in Beskar.
That was good. I should have gone with that. Anyway, listen, guys. I really do love this wallet. It has made my life so much easier. When I go running, I don't have to worry about my pants falling. That's the biggest change. Check this out. The Ridge offers RFID blocking, sleek minimal design, aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, 30,000 5-star reviews, free shipping and returns worldwide. It is perfect for Christmas season. I'm definitely getting my friend Brandon this wallet. I hope he doesn't watch this video. If you want to get yourselves a Ridge wallet, use promo code REJECTNATION to save yourself 10% on your order. And just go to ridge.com/REJECTNATION, promo code REJECTNATION. REJECTNATION!
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, Chapter 13, The Jedi. Perhaps the most crucial episode of the series since it's...
Tell me what Tython is! Tell me!
Live-action Ahsoka Tano, her quest to find Grand Admiral
Yeah.
and the
So
name of the child we have been calling Baby Yoda, that name being Grogu.
Grogu and I can feel each other's thoughts.
It's Grogu.
Grogu.
Which I assume by now that you know and already have an opinion about. Now,
Ragu.
I made another video breaking down Grogu's timeline from the...
They're like, it's not Baby Yoda, guys.
The moment Mando found him in the Mandalorian series premiere, and Tanya and I went into it further in Wookiee Leaks, but in this episode, I am going to go through this episode frame by frame to scrutinize each shot of the episode, not just for the many Star Wars Easter eggs and tie-ins, but for the fascinating craft details that the people who make the show put into it. And yeah, before I begin, the shirt I am wearing is our This Is the Way shirt. It is available for a limited time only in our official merch store, New Rockstars Merch.
I think I'm gonna get that shirt.
Philip knocked out a
pretty sweet
brand new
shirt.
I think I'm gonna get that shirt.
Oh, dang.
Ooh. Whoa! That shirt must be... I want that. I'm buying that shirt. I am. I'm buying that shirt.
Forest planet Bo-Katan told us about back in Chapter 11, though instead of the lush Rivendell I kind of expected, we instead get a charred Mordor landscape, which in our Wookiee Leaks After Show I interpreted as a symbolic reflection of the dead Jedi dogma that Ahsoka and Grogu should really no longer cling to.
Nice.
The smoky fog illuminates with the twin white blades of Ahsoka Tano, played in flawless cosplay by Rosario Dawson, though maybe Snips and Snips could have been a bit longer because she's older, but well, she looks just like her otherwise. Bravo! In the background, Ahsoka Tano was introduced back in Clone Wars, Anakin's apprentice and friend, who later gets falsely accused for a crime by the Jedi Order, and even after her name is cleared, she walks from that order. And in the final season of Clone Wars that came out earlier this year, she helped Bo-Katan liberate Mandalore from
Siege of
Maul, but right as
Mandalore.
Order 66 came out, she was forced to break with her beloved clone trooper unit. Ahsoka's cloak here actually is the same
great
cloak she was
four-parter.
wearing in
Fantastic
the series
four-parter.
finale. Ahsoka also
Yeah,
appeared years
straight
later
out of
in the
Rebels.
Star Wars timeline in Rebels, fighting Anakin as Vader with these two white lightsabers that she actually got from Inquisitors. Inquisitors were former Jedi dragged over to the dark side and tasked with hunting down runaway Jedi.
Is that Barriss?
Rebels ends with Ahsoka joining Sabine Wren to seek out Ezra Bridger, who had previously zipped away to some unknown destination via hyperspace whales, along with Thrawn. Ahsoka's lightsaber action here is so well choreographed. I love how Dave Filoni's direction IDs her position with just the light of the blades alone.
Yes.
Through the murk. Similar to the visual that revealed Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in the poison gas and Phantom Menace. Jedi misdirect
Good
designed to
call.
instill fear and confusion
Good
in her enemy's
call.
hearts. And it's awesome to see how creative she gets with these sabers. She she slices a trunk, and then she cleaves out a whole piece that she can use to take a guy out.
Yeah.
Trying to drop down on its lower stump. So it's not just saber against enemy, she uses her whole surroundings. The Caladan magistrate is Morgan Elsbeth, played by Diana Lee Inosanto.
I just learned this in the comments on our last one.
Dan Inosanto and goddaughter to the man.
Bruce Lee!
So when she kept getting asked about her master, I was like, hell yeah, this warrior was trained for this. You'll recognize her Lieutenant Lang, played by Michael Biehn, star of Terminator and Aliens, though I wish she had a bigger role in the show.
That's what we said.
Now, this episode is titled The Jedi for Ahsoka. I was hoping the title could have been like plural and or also referring to the child, but translations from other languages show how they use the feminine article for the in this case. As Mando and the child approach, the kid again decides that spherical knob at the end of the control stick, the one that the kid wanted in Chapter 3 and that Mando looked at and remembered that he still loves his kid and he made his true act of love to rescue him. I have a feeling Grogu's love of it might go deeper than just like a mere kid wanting a toy. Maybe it reminds him of some part of his past. Like, I don't know, it could have been taken to the Death Star at some point.
Yep.
We'll see. A Caladan Watchman uses a scanner similar to the one used by a postcard on Yavin 4 in A New Hope. And when
That's what I was trying to...
large creatures that kind of match the silhouette of an AT-AT feet on the barks of the burnt trees in the background. Now, Mando is asked if he is part of the Bounty Hunter Guild, to which he responds,
"Last I checked."
Which is interesting, because he kind of broke with the guild rules back in that Chapter 3 episode, though he hasn't technically checked if he's still part of it. And he's also starting to bend the rules of his own Mandalorian code, so he really has no problem reneging on this agreement with the magistrate. And we're just seeing how the only rule that remains sacred to this character is his love for the child. And love the projection design on the Caladan town. It is clearly inspired by samurai films with feudal Japanese walls, these circular towers with their flat conical roofs, and within the city walls there's all these peasants living in squalor with a sharp contrast to the inner courtyard palace, serene, beautiful, a bubble of paradise, a classic wealth disparity that you see in those kind of stories, where the wealthy elite landlords are completely unaware of the problems of the people serving underneath them. And I love how later the duel plays out with a slow, deliberate kendo-style fight choreography, a throwback to the slower swordplay of Obi-Wan and Vader that George Lucas originally based the whole Jedi culture on. The imagery may also remind you of the final duel in the quiet garden between the bride
little bit,
and in Kill Bill. Quentin Tarantino is also a lover of Akira Kurosawa and staged this battle the same way, a raging melee heightening to an ice-cold, intimate face-off. Meanwhile, the Western counterpart to samurai films, the Western film genre, inspires a duel outside the courtyard between Mando and Lang, with a gunslinger showdown lifted directly from the work of directors like Sergio Leone. Essentially, Westerns and samurai films are parallel genres just from different parts of the world, both inspiring the Star Wars.
Say more specifically spaghetti westerns.
It's so amazing to see both play such a big role in this episode. Elsbeth keeps prisoners on display in these public stocks with electric fields, zapping them to reveal their skeletons underneath, similar to the zapping Sith lightning that we've seen before. And I believe Hera in Rebels was tortured with one of these. Elsbeth feeds her fish in her koi pond, though I'm pretty sure those aren't koi in there. Notice Grogu gives them a curious look, kind of like the frog eggs. Grogu is very much into aquatic life, just keeping track of his amphibious origins as we try to narrow them down. Elsbeth reminds Mando that the Jedi are ancient enemies of Mandalore, offering him as a reward for killing Ahsoka a pure Beskar spear capable of resisting lightsaber strikes, telling us that Mando's armor is moments away from some Ahsoka hits, but also shedding some light on the ancient Jedi and Mandalorians and how they were so evenly matched. I love the ping the staff makes when he strikes it on its gauntlet.
Beskar.
There's an almost magical strength that you can hear in there that justifies its ability to repel a lightsaber hit. As they venture out to find Ahsoka, amazing Easter egg here, the bird on the branch in the upper left. This owl is
Morai, right?
A hugely significant spirit animal that follows Ahsoka. It is the embodiment of the daughter, one of the three Mortis cosmic entities who represents the light side of the Force. The daughter gave her life to save Ahsoka, and now she is represented in this Morai.
That might have been my
also
favorite
circling over Vader
arc in Clone Wars, personally.
Ahsoka and Mando briefly duel, and it is really fun to see these two one-up each
Maybe.
other. Ahsoka, even you can tell, gets a little kick out of it when she looks down to realize her binds can be reverted in order to snare Mando. But then he mentions Bo-Katan sent him, and she sees a child, and then our lives get so much better. Next scene, free in the light of the moon, Ahsoka and Grogu stare each other down, and from this nonverbal Force link, she reveals his name and origin.
Grogu and I can feel each other's thoughts.
Grogu.
He was raised at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, at the end of the Clone Wars when the Empire rose to power. He was hidden. Someone took him from the temple.
And I love how Grogu looks up at Mando each time he uses his name, but then, even more so, gives a look of recognition when Ahsoka mentions the name of Master Yoda.
Wise Jedi Master named Yoda.
And yes, if you were listening closely there, that was a musical leitmotif to the John Williams Yoda theme playing underneath. Ahsoka says some mystery person took the child from the Jedi Temple during Order 66. In yesterday's video, I speculated that could have been Yaddle, who most of us assume to be dead based off of a comic where Vader fights Yaddle's ghost. But there have been other mentions and things like Jedi Fallen Order that suggest she might still be alive. We'll see. Now, it could have just been Obi-Wan Kenobi, who did survey that temple in the aftermath, and this could definitely tie in the upcoming Kenobi series. Others have suggested Jocasta Nu, the temple librarian, who did die shortly after the events of Revenge of the Sith, but did have enough time to save that kid if she could have. I'm also intrigued by the possibility of Mace Windu, who supposedly died, though no body was ever found, and there is speculation that he could get a future spin-off series. If the theories are true that Grogu and Anakin's matching birth years mean they might be part of a dyad, I could see a scenario where Grogu uses his Force healing powers to heal the wounds on Mace Windu that were caused by the counterpart, Anakin. Now, the stark burnt landscape gives way to lovely green in the area where Ahsoka trains Baby Yoda, an interesting reflection of the life force that these two Jedi are about to tap into. Ahsoka levitates a rock to him, echoing the way Master Yoda used rocks to train Luke on Dagobah, but then she says this.
Sense much fear in you.
A direct callback to Yoda's warning to Anakin in Phantom Menace.
I sense much fear in you.
Ahsoka fears that training a child with vulnerable personal connections will result in the same calamity as her old friend Anakin, whom she calls, heartbreakingly, the best of us. Ahsoka explains how Elsbeth's family was massacred during the Clone Wars and that Elsbeth used that anger to plunder and destroy worlds to help build the Imperial Starfleet, but I don't think that's her MO now. The fact that she calls Thrawn her master suggests to me that she and Thrawn might be building a new Starfleet that's separate from the Empire, maybe an independent Order of Thrawn. Ahsoka and Mando team up.
Interesting.
She scales the wall, slices that bell in half.
So-
Notice how she also slices the guards right in front of it. So cool. Guarding the town are HK-87 droids, an apparent upgrade from the HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. A love cat also appears. We saw one of these last season, and for many, this is another sign that Ezra Bridger could show up at some point. They do come from his home world. But when Ahsoka confronts Elsbeth in the courtyard, I love how we don't see Ahsoka arrive. She's just already standing there waiting for her. It's as if his showdown was inevitable, a promise delivered from that opening scene.
Surrender, or face the consequences.
When Ahsoka ignites her right blade, the wind catches her robe on the ground. It's a nice detail of VFX meeting practical to suggest the warmth of the blade could have affected the airflow there. After a thrilling duel, Ahsoka drops the big question.
Now tell me, where's your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
So, Thrawn was one of the first big things to come out of the Star Wars Expanded Universe novels. He was so popular that Dave Filoni later brought him into Season 3 of Rebels. Originally, Thrawn was tasked with leading the Empire after its defeat in Battle of Endor, but in Rebels, during the Galactic Civil War, he is pursuing the crew of the Ghost. Yes, he's last seen disappearing in hyperspace with Ezra. So, for Ahsoka, finding Thrawn means finding Ezra, unless she already found them in these past few years, and that perhaps Ezra and Sabine could be dead. Now, Ahsoka just wants
that
to
would suck.
against Thrawn. So Thrawn is a chiss. He is a genius tactician, skilled hand-to-hand combatant, which might be why Elsbeth calls him, quote, master. I really do think, or at least I hope, that he is now building his own Starfleet, independent from the old guard of the Empire or Palpatine, just because Thrawn would be such a cooler villain who embraces the spirit of legends, what people love about Star Wars, without getting bogged down in that same old Rebels versus Empire conflict that every generation of Star Wars is driven by. Ahsoka tells Mando to take Grogu to Tython and place him on a sealing stone so that he can connect with other Jedi.
Here we go.
The new hope is that Jedi Luke Skywalker could sense that and connect with these characters, maybe with a de-aged Mark Hamill or just a hooded figure with Hamill's voice. But the fear is that darker Force-sensitive entities might intercept that call.
Most
Tython is
likely.
another element from Star Wars Legends. It was originally the home to the Jedi Order, predecessor to the Jedi Order, but it was brought into official canon in a Force Awakens RPG and then a later novel. Tython is essentially one of the sacred Jedi sites, along with Ashtu, Jedha, maybe the ruins where all of this started. In the final moments, notice how Ahsoka and Grogu exchange the subtlest nod of respect, very similar to the nod that Ahsoka exchanged with Elsbeth. To me, this suggests an even deeper understanding between the Jedi than we realized. Maybe deeper thoughts and secrets in Grogu's mind that Ahsoka chose not to disclose to Mando. Maybe
I would say most likely.
Absolutely.
On Corvus to try to keep himself and Mando away from Ahsoka's beef with Thrawn, which is probably going to get real nasty, and closer to a path that will intersect.
We're definitely set up an Ahsoka show, aren't we? It's 100%.
So those are all the subtle details that I found this episode, but there is so much more to talk about from this one episode. We're going to be making more videos about it. In the meantime, subscribe to New Rockstars. Hit that notification.
Do yourself
bell,
a favor
follow me
and
on
do it,
Instagram
people.
Follow New Rockstars. Thank you for watching. I have spoken.
Cool.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Senpai Eric.
Chat about a couple of these things. Yeah, those are some fun ones to learn about. The only real Easter egg I think I got right, the owl.
Yeah.
Morai. Yeah, that was all I saw. I happened to catch that owl and I was like, I think that's Morai. That's about it. And I think it's really cool that if, you know, I don't know if Dave Filoni's come out and said that if that is Morai indeed. If it is, I think that's a cool subtle nod to Morai actually being there. Because I remember when I watched Clone Wars, the finale, I didn't know who that bird was. When watching Rebels, it was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense now because Rebels came out before the final season of Clone Wars came out. They threw the bird in there. I haven't seen any of Rebels yet, so to actually see the bird there makes you pay close attention. I've been watching over Ahsoka this entire time now, so you would expect Morai to be there. So I feel like it's very likely that it's not just an owl. You know who that is?
No, I caught the owl and I was like, cool, an owl. Soon I learned that that was an Easter egg. But I do love, I thought this was like oddly kind of a thoughtful breakdown, and I like that argument as to perhaps the appearance of Ezra Bridger with the cats, you know, from his homeworld and whatnot, you know, and I like that they at least showed one example of that, you know, sort of hailing the appearance of an animal or a spirit creature like that, hailing the appearance of a character.
I don't like the idea that, like, the theory of that Ahsoka Tano may be seeking revenge for the death of Sabrine Wren and Ezra Bridger, unless of course you get like a Ahsoka Tano spin-off show and it's not picking up immediately from these events, and instead you start from that point where they find Ezra Bridger and their legacy characters in Star Wars canon, and they're like the two most important characters in Rebels. If they just die off screen and you don't acknowledge that in, like, with live action, I feel like that would actually be pretty upsetting and rather disappointing. There's a kind of an argument to be made for Ezra Bridger because he makes the ultimate sacrifice at the end with Rebels, even though Thrawn clearly is alive, but I personally don't think it would be wise for them to go that route with both of them dead off screen, especially when you end Rebels with Sabine and Ahsoka setting off on a mission to find, and then we just cut to later and they're both dead and Ahsoka wants revenge. I'm not a big fan of that idea and that theory that's been floating around, but I really loved what Eric pointed out with a lot of the technical call outs, specifically with the sound design, with a lot of these like hidden music cues I didn't pick up on. There's a moment where actually Ahsoka's music I've heard plays at one point, and in the midst of being so engrossed in the episode, I actually didn't catch it when I first watched it, and I need to go back to the episode and listen again for when that moment is called. I read about it in some comments, and then even in our comments, I learned it this morning. I want to shout out a person named Force Sensitive. Let me show it in the video. He was the first person to inform me of this. He said, here's some trivia for you guys. This episode premiered on Bruce Lee's 80th birthday. The actress playing the magistrate is Diane Lee Inosanto, daughter of Bruce's best friend Dan Inosanto, and she is also Lee's goddaughter. And I think that's really, really cool. I mean, I think I've seen all of Bruce Lee's movies. He doesn't have a crap ton of films, but I think I've seen all of them. To learn this little fun fact and to have it come out on his 80th birthday, I think it's glorious. I wish I knew that going in, because of course, like when you watch our reaction, it's like obviously we're picking up on all the samurai tone and references, and even in its imagery, like that's very apparent. Western influences, like of course we're latching onto all that. That right there is a really cool, fun fact.
That is a true like little Easter egg that does kind of enhance. And it's like Eric said, like had I known that, I might have been kind of giggling like, oh, like Master, like Bruce Lee. Yeah, exactly.
That was a cool call. And some people think that learning what we we learned about Baby Yoda is kind of given away too much. Like, some people want a little bit more mystery to him, but there's still so much to unpack in that.
Oh yeah.
It's like you get some information, absolutely. You get his name, where he was raised, but you also set up the door of, well, okay, who were his parents? Is it Yoda? You know, was it Yoda? And Yoda constantly preached about, you know, having no attachments and stuff, but did he have an attachment? Was there a secret romance that he had? Well, who was the Jedi or who put him in hiding?
Yeah,
you
who
know?
smuggled him out. And I liked the array of theories. I mean, obviously based off that Star Wars theory-based Windu video, that's like what I'm secretly hoping for. But I also feel like I would be kind of excited if they took this as an opportunity to bring in one of those characters from the extended canon that isn't known on the live-action screen yet, like that librarian Jedi, you know, who like got at least a little bit of time after Order 66 to kick some ass before dying. I could definitely see some potential for another character to join the cast.
Of course. And one thing I didn't talk about at all, which is something that I was constantly saying what I'm hoping they bring to life really well, and they did, and for some reason I didn't even bother to talk about it during our review of the episode, but it's brought up here when he's breaking down the fighting style of Ahsoka Tano. And I was like, oh yeah, that was one thing I was always concerned about, was are they gonna really capture Ahsoka's fighting style? And they did, for the best they could do with live action without having to go all prequel flippy. In the show, at least, you know, like, my mind mainly goes to her fighting style in Clone Wars. She uses a lot of martial arts moves beyond her lightsabers, her dual lightsabers. She does a lot of flipping, yes, but she's very flexible, acrobatic, there's a lot of kicking. She didn't solely rely on the lightsabers. And then actually watching the episode back, I'm like, oh, she does do like a good amount of flips actually. And I thought it was really cool. They met the right medium, there's the right perfect balance to be able to go, well, what's her fighting style and how can we incorporate here to make it feel a little bit more grounded when bringing it to live action. I thought they completely succeeded, and I really wanted to shout that out because that is something where they could have been very disappointing on and just made her look like another Jedi. You know?
Yeah. Well, I remember you talking in the review of the episode about how her personality is a bit more subdued, but even as Eric pointed out, I like that in the moments in battle where they would let her kind of notice an advantage she has and actually kind of enjoy taking advantage of that to regain the upper hand, especially like with that one droid soldier who just kind of decides to peace out, you know, up to top by the bell. Yeah,
she's got this little smirk about her the entire time. And I didn't really notice, I didn't fully latch onto at the name of Master Yoda and Baby Yoda looking up. Well, Grogu, looking up. You cut to Ahsoka's reaction in that moment. And to me, I'm like, oh, it's such an endearing little smile moment. When you slow that footage down, like what new Rockstars did, and you see Baby Yoda, I keep calling him that, Grogu looking up, you're like, oh my God, he is responding directly to Yoda.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it became so apparent to me every time he would make eye contact with Mando, every time he used his name. And so, yeah, I overlooked it at the time. But I love those thoughtful details that they bother to put in here because that's the stuff that makes it worth rewatching.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, when it comes to accepting the mission, I thought he did a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Lying by omission?
Yeah.
Where you say certain words to make it seem like you're saying yes when you technically didn't say yes.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're saying yes.
It's the heavy implication that we have some kind of connected arrangement here. And yeah, I'm just not going to say all of the terms of it out loud and acknowledge them so that you can, come back and say that I broke it.
Because there was, like, it got a little confusing to me. It wasn't a big deal, but it was a tiny bit confusing. Because you're like, okay, I was in the impression he accepted it. I think at one point, Din Djarin does say, I didn't agree to anything. When he's back there, he doesn't accept it because he doesn't accept the Beskar sphere at first because he says, I didn't finish the mission. I was like, wait a minute, did you accept this mission or not?
Yeah.
And why am I so hung up on this?
Yeah, do you not want to take the spear because you didn't do it for the mission at all, or is this some kind of, hyper technicality? Like, it wouldn't be right, I didn't do the job.
Well, I'm not, anyway, it's like,
it's very important.
We're playing very big semantics right now.
Very important that we figure this out. Close this plot hole.
Now with Tython, okay, it's a good basics. I'm sure Tython has a big thing you can
There's a Wikipedia about
I'm
it.
sure there's something that you know, like this is the basic summation, so that which what I love is to make it digestible, because I'm sure if I could dive in and really learn it all. But essentially, it's like another ancient historical Jedi landmark that they got to go to, and that's like to just follow the show. You got to get along with that, because even breaking down Ahsoka's backstory here, I'm like, well, there's so much more than that, but this is the basics you need to know in order to move forward with the show. Yeah, it's like the 5 sentences you need to know to keep moving forward, and that's kind of how I felt about Tython. It was a fantastic episode, one of, if not the best episode of the Mandalorian series so far.
A+.
And yeah, really, I'm really glad I watched some stuff this past year. Guys, subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. Hey, we'll catch you guys soon.